That's what he said last time. Okay. All right. Hey, what is going on, everyone? I need to apologize first of all. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are live. We are here. We are excited. We have movement going on. So, my name is Damian Forrester. I am your national co-chair for the Black EXP Network. It's a community based on professional development and production growth, and, as well as mentorship, collaboration, creating ownership, and generational wealth through real estate, expanding representation. Like, I'm the only Black realtor here, probably in Montana. That's how I feel sometimes. And opportunity in this industry. So building a national relationship that translates not only into referrals, but influence. So today is not just another interview. Today is about leadership and capacity, identity and expansion. And a real estate professional, brokers, teams, and entrepreneurs, we operate in an industry where performance is visible, measurable, and often unforgiving. So deals fall apart, market shifts, pressures arise, and expectations grow. And moments like that, strategy alone is not enough. So skills is not enough. The separator is mindset, resilience, emotional intelligence. That's why today's conversation matters. It is my honor to introduce Courtland Warren. Courtland is a global mindset strategist, a master facilitator. He's delivered keynotes and leadership trainings across North America and internationally, helping organizations, entrepreneurs, and elevate performance at the highest level. So Courtland doesn't just teach motivation, he teaches expansion. Courtland, welcome. We are honored to have you. I always wanted to start with our guests by allowing you to give a little bit about your history, what I like to call your origin story. So, what is your background? How did you get to where you are now? Talk to me, Courtland. What's going on?
Right. Well, Damian, first of all, thank you so much for first the invitation, and then to those of you who have made the commitment to be here, thank you for honoring yourself enough to continue to expand, on your growth. Your being here says that it matters, that your goals matter to you, your dreams matter to you, and they matter enough for you to do something about it. So thank you so much. And though Damian tried to own it, the reality is we're late because of me. And, it's always that one button that you forget to push that that sparks everything.
We're pushing buttons. That's odd.
I was working, and I got the wrong one. Hopefully, though, we can make up for it, and you'll be thankful to yourself for listening in. My story is, I consider it pretty simple. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that I was, a kid raised in Southeast Oklahoma, the quote unquote wrong side of the tracks, Idabel, Oklahoma, to be exact. I'll always give a shout out to my hometown. And Idabel, Oklahoma is a very black and white town. And by that, I mean, all the black people lived on one side of town, white people lived on the other side of town. And so growing up, it felt like there were the haves and the have-nots. And we were in the have-not line. Growing up, it was as though everything good was happening on the opposite side of the tracks. And I wanted to figure out why that was the case. I wanted to know, how do you change lines? Honestly, Damian, my mom would say things when I would ask, why can't we have some stuff? Why can't we do X, Y, and Z? Why can't I have new shoes for, the basketball season? And I would get, well, all we need is love. Love is all we need. And that, I heard that, but it didn't quite resonate, right? And so with the audience today, I would like to first just establish is that, nothing replaces money in the places where money is required, right? If you don't believe that, send your mortgage company a love letter. Send, if you financed your car, send the dealership a card. but don't send the payment and see how long it goes. And so very early on, I was looking to create a life that had not been modeled, to live a life that really, it seemed like no one was really talking about how to do it. And so I started studying personal development. I was studying personal development books when I was in high school. Those became my book reports. My dad gave me a milk crate of personal development books when I was in high school. And that really started, it's a longer story, but that's what started the journey. This idea that your thoughts become things, that we become what we think about. I had never heard that before, and nothing else was working. And so I said, well, let's give that a shot. And it became a really lifelong mission and search to really understand the science of transformation. And then once finding that out, sharing it with people who will listen, and most of all, those who would apply it. And so that's where, it's been now 25 years that I've been facilitating courses. Now the project lead for success coaching, and I'm not the most popular guy on social media, but I do like how my resume stacks up as far as lives transformed, people impacted over the years. And so in a nutshell, that's how we got here.
Right. Well, Courtland, if you can briefly, before we get into a lot of the questions I really want to answer, you have success coaching behind you. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Success coaching, obviously success is the parent company is EXP Holdings. I was actually facilitating a course that Glenn Sanford attended years ago when EXP was in infancy. And Glenn was a student in a class that I was facilitating. And so over the years, it's probably been 13 or 14 years ago now, he's watched the consistency. He's witnessed other agents who I've worked with, and he reached out several months ago and asked if I would launch the most recent version of success coaching. I relished the opportunity to work with him. And that's, I'm leading that, but not in a traditional coaching sense, because my view is that most coaching starts with looking to change behavior. And in my experience, that doesn't work and it doesn't last. You will not act consistently in any way that is inconsistent with your self-image. And so this program starts first with biology, then identity, then into the actions and systems that create lasting change. So we're in the early stages of launching that program, and really excited to be working with them.
Outstanding. Thanks for sharing that, which I'm glad you answered that way, because it goes into my next question. Your work centers around expanding resilience, as you mentioned, and evaluating performance. So in an industry like real estate, I'm going to focus on real estate, although a lot of people from other affiliations like lenders can really take a lot from this. Where does production equal survival? How does identity really shape the performance in this?
So that's a great question. Great question. And the thing is, I talk for a living, Damien. So at any point, if you want me to just be quiet, just be like, hey, okay, hey, it's all good. Okay, it's all good. And I don't know what your audience is. I mean, can we just keep it real? I mean, I didn't put this up as a commercial.
No, not at all.
But the screen was really dark, and so I was looking at myself blending against that screen. I'm like, can people even see me? So that's really what, I mean, it was the lightest thing I had going.
No,
okay,
so
now I will get in trouble sometimes for just being too real and keeping it too honest. But your question around identity, here's what we know. Here's what the science says. Okay, here's what we know to be true, is that there are places in my life, your life, all of our lives, where we know what to do and we don't do it.
Right.
All right. Where we know the steps to take and we don't take it. We know, I mean, so it's it's very difficult to find something new to say about building a business in real estate, as far as, time blocking systems, what books to read, and all of the things. So to me, it became quite interesting to look at, well, if all of the how-tos are there, if we know enough about what to do, then why don't we? And so identity is essentially the guard that your nervous system uses to keep you comfortable and to keep you safe. So in triune brain theory, right, you have your prefrontal cortex is the reason and logic part. Okay, that's the part of you that says, well, it just makes sense. I'm going to level up my life. I'm going to set my goals. I want to make more money. I want to have a different lifestyle, all of the things. And so reason and logic says, well, of course, I want to experience that. But your amygdala, right, or your reptilian brain, its job is not for you to, its purpose is not you achieving all of your goals and dreams. Okay. That part of your brain is not committed to you fulfilling your potential. Its job is safety. Its job is comfort. And it feeds off of familiarity. It feeds off of things that are routine, right? Common, like what we know already, right? Your comfort zone. So when a person says, okay, I'm going to level up my life, well, your amygdala, which controls fight, flight, or freeze, it governs the fear response. What its job is to make sure that you're safe. Its job is to make sure that you survive. So what happens is, as it relates to identity, is if your nervous system is not regulated, if your nervous system does not feel safe to move forward, then you won't do the thing, because your nervous system is very committed to you surviving and you remaining safe. And so even though reason and logic says, well, of course, because there's more money on that level, there's a greater lifestyle on that level, your amygdala is saying, well, but we haven't been there. We don't know what that is. So it perceives things that are unfamiliar as dangerous. So when I hesitate, or when you hesitate, your nervous system reads that as danger. When you second guess and when you doubt, your nervous system reads that as a threat. So when you procrastinate, your nervous system interprets that as a threat. So therefore, your identity is essentially the accumulation or the culmination of all the beliefs that you have from your life experiences that have shaped your belief structure. And your belief structure has to match the level that you're aspiring to. Otherwise, you won't take the action, even though you know what to do. And I would imagine that your listeners can totally relate to that.
Sure.
You know what to do. It's like going shopping on Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, Hollywood, right? It's like we're window shopping. Like we see it, we see what's possible, we see where we could be, we see what's available for some. Like you might even see some people in the stores, but until your identity matches, you're essentially on the other side of the glass, but you see it, but right, you can't access it. And that's the way it remains until or unless your nervous system says it's okay to move forward.
All right. So coach me on this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example. This is me personally.
Gotcha.
Okay? And I am sure this is probably other people too, but on a different topic. I mentioned before, the first Black agent, realtor in the state of Montana. I'm very proud of it. Right. I want to build this platform where that I have a podcast to help other Black and brown individuals in the state of Montana to share their story, so that we can expand nationally. That's something I want to do.
Okay.
The past 2 years now. Right?
Okay.
What do I feel? What do you think is stopping me from doing that? Because I have the resources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have the podcast.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm ready to go. But what is it? What do you feel that might be? Is that what you're talking about? That fear?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you see where I'm going here?
Yeah, no, I do. So it's like, I got all the stuff. You got all the tools.
Yeah.
You got all the equipment. you got, you have the idea, you have, you have the platform, you have a route. Okay. So all of those things are in place. Now, when it comes to you taking specific action on it, okay, what are the places where you know what to do, but and this is not a rhetorical question, but what are the places where or actions that you know to take, but you don't? So bring to mind an action that you know to take, something that you've been saying that you were going to do for a while, but you haven't taken that action. And when you look at coming up on taking that action, what's the internal dialogue or the conversation that you have with yourself that keeps you from doing it, or at least keeps you from doing it fully? What happens for you in that moment that it's time to act?
All right. You asking me that question?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I would say that I'm so worried about being financially stable to worry about my deals and everything else, that what is this going to do for me right now? Right.
Okay.
I know it can do not only for me, but it can do a lot for other people. But I need to worry about this first before I can do this. Okay.
Now you use a very powerful word there. It says, so I have this income that is stable. I need to make sure to stabilize this income right now. Right. So if I actually jump out there, okay, and go all in with what your vision is, it brings or it introduces a risk to what is already solid, what is already stable. And so we don't want to okay, so how can I do it without disrupting what is already set, what is already settled? Okay, so you use some very key words there. It's almost like so you use some very key words there. So it's like your nervous system is saying essentially, Amy, do you realize how hard we've worked to get to this? Now, we're not going to just go out there and risk what is already solid and stable for something that is not, quote unquote, guaranteed. I mean, we're not going to risk what's solid and stable for something that we're not even sure is going to work. We're pretty convinced that it will work, but we don't know for sure that it's going to work. And so your nervous system has acclimated to what is solidly in place. And so the idea of stretching beyond what has now become, it wasn't where you are now, wasn't always comfortable. All right. There was a point where you were just getting started. So what you've built and created now wasn't always a comfortable place. So your nervous system has acclimated to the level that you are now. And so the idea, though, of risking that in order to create something even bigger, your nervous system is going to support you in justifying why right now is not the time to take that leap. It's in essence what we're, all the work that I do is if that nervous system does not get regulated and know that, okay, we're not going to die, right? This is not a threat to my life, and we can win, then it won't support you in taking the action.
Got it.
It's the same.
All right. Well, good. Thanks for sharing. And I hope many of you are hearing this, because I know many of you are facing this. All right. So
right on. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's talk about our industry right now and focusing on real estate once again, because a lot of people who are listening is in the real estate. I mean, it is a very volatile industry. All right. Rates shift, deals fall apart, the market cools down. The whole feast or famine thing. That's one thing I always learned. Expect the feast or famine. So what should leaders think about, in resilience during these awful cycles? Because I'm leading into what you speak about in this resilience quotient, right?
Okay.
You mentioned it. I was studying you, right?
Okay. I see.
Yeah. So I would like to go from there to there, if that's possible, so you can share.
No problem. So what, so what, I mean, now let me, I want to be very clear about something very, I'm not an agent, I don't, so I work, I'm very cautious to speak to things and on subjects that I haven't had direct experience in, because I feel like at a level that's disrespectful. You know what I mean? Oh, you as an agent need to do X, Y, Z, and I've not been an agent. Okay, so I want to be very respectful of you and your audience for, in what it's actually like on the field versus theoretically. Okay, now that said, just because I haven't been in real estate doesn't mean that I don't understand volatile environments. Just because it hasn't been in real estate doesn't mean that I don't understand the nature of being an entrepreneur. I've been feeding myself and my family for the last 25 years. I have been, in many ways unemployable for over 20 years, making it happen, making it work. And I don't, and not everybody wants, another speaker. Not everybody is looking for, here's another person telling me what to do and how to live my life. And so there are, so to that I can speak to. And what I have come to know is that adversity and challenge, it visits everybody.
Right. Okay.
Okay. It visits everybody and it visits every industry. And there is not a way that I have been able to find for you to set your life up or to set your business up where there's not adversity and challenge. Okay. Now with that, so if we take that and we say, okay, adversity and challenge visits everybody, and there's not a way to set it up where you don't have challenges and adversity, then if we can accept that volatility and challenge will be a part of the experience, then the best thing we can do is prepare ourselves to handle it more effectively than other people do. So the best thing that one can do is give themselves a competitive advantage. If it's true that adversity and challenge is going to visit, Damien and Courtland alike, Damien and Courtland and Mario, I believe. All right. So if we say that Courtland, Damien, and Mario in their lifetimes, they're not going to get through it without adversity and challenge, then the thing that Courtland can do or Damien can do or Mario can do is ensure that when challenges and adversity comes, they are equipped to handle it faster than other people. That actually gives you a competitive advantage. So what to be thinking about is growing yourself. What to be thinking about during volatile times is what are the things that you can actually control. So in my experience, there are builders and there are blamers. And a person has to determine which they're going to be. Am I going to be a builder or a blamer? And those two individuals move and operate very differently. Both get adversities, both have challenges, both have hurdles, both get setbacks. But because of how they work on themselves, the builder handles it much more effectively and moves through it much faster than the person who blames. So what are the things that you can control? And ultimately, that is you and how you process information, adversity, and challenge. And based on where we go in the conversation around resilience, I'll reveal some of the frameworks that you can use to be a more resilient person. But what to be thinking about is how to grow yourself, because the adversity, the volatility is inescapable. It's not that you didn't read the right book to make adversity and challenge go away. It's coming for all of us. So if it's going to visit all of us, make sure that it remains a visitor and not a roommate. You can't let it move in, right? You can't let it's just dropping by, but you can't have it move in. Okay, all right.
So something you said that so made me think. So for me, I've come from a very not very strong background, all right, very poverty-stricken background. And from what you're saying, for me to be, I consider myself a builder.
Okay.
I feel
no doubt. What do you mean consider yourself? There's no doubt about it.
Right.
There's no doubt.
So, there are many people that may have come from the same environment that I've come from that have not done that. That have not They went the other way. Let's just put it that way.
I got you.
Right? So, and maybe you can't answer this question, but what do you feel that person, a builder, has that? Is it environmental? Is it just the people you brought up, you're around? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
In your opinion,
what makes the difference?
Yeah. Thank you. What makes?
Yeah.
The difference?
What makes the difference? You know, and that's the work that I've studied. Okay. That is the work. That is the work that I've studied. Okay. So when I go into, you know, I grew up on the west side of the tracks in Idabel, Oklahoma, and you know, I had 28 first cousins growing up. None of us had their dad at home. You know, I talk about, you know, what that was like, the haves, the have-nots. I don't share that for, I don't share it for sympathy. Okay. I don't share it from a woe is me place. But I know that most people listening can fill in some of the blanks on the difficulty and challenge. And what is and there are a lot of people, okay, that I grew up with, family members and otherwise, who we essentially started from the same place, okay. And here's what, and I don't necessarily like that this is the rule, but it remains the rule and the principle. See, ignorance is no excuse for the law. So just because a person doesn't understand, let's say, the principle of gravity, doesn't mean that they aren't still subject to it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So just because I don't know that my thoughts become things doesn't mean that I'm not subject to that same law and principle. Just because I don't know what the law is, and I'm not talking about man-made laws, I'm talking about the principles that govern like our existence. Ignorance is no excuse. So because these laws are unwavering, all right, and they don't show favoritism. Again, I'm not talking about man-made laws, all right, the principles. Okay, so the first law is the law of conservation of energy. Okay, that law is everything, literally, because the law states that everything is energy. And energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change forms. That's number one, okay? And it doesn't matter if I don't like it. It doesn't matter if I've never heard of it. That law remains, that everything is energy. So if everything is energy, and give me just a moment to build this. If everything is energy, that means nothing gets left out. Everything is everything. So, you know, my glasses here that, you know, I know if I was gonna have to read something there, right? If everything is energy, then that would include the glasses. That includes the camera that I'm looking into. That includes, you know, the watch that I'm wearing, the clothing that I have on, right? The car, you know, wherever you find the chair you're sitting in, the device that you're using to listen to this podcast. Everything is everything. So if it's everything, then nothing gets left out. Okay. Now, that means then that your business is an expression of energy. Your health is an expression of energy because everything is energy. So your relationships are an expression of energy. Your bank account is an expression of energy. Why? Because everything is energy. And then it goes on to say that energy is neither created or destroyed. It can only change forms. So what that means is that like what you're looking for is already here. It's just it is being expressed in a different form. The next law and the highest form of energy is a thought. So before there were these glasses, there was the thought of the glasses. Before your business, there was the thought of your business. Before your business expanded, there was the thought of your business expanding. So the highest form of energy is a thought. Okay. Now there's the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So perpetual transmutation, big words, whatever, but it just means that perpetual, ongoing transmutation, transforming, okay, of energy. Perpetual transmutation of energy essentially says that everything is moving into a different form, okay? So why do I go through all of that? Well, because these principles actually govern our existence. And so if you ask, well, what is the difference? The difference is in understanding of the principles versus not. That's the difference. One person understands and uses the principles, another does not. It's not about capability. It is not about worthiness in a ideal, or utopic kind of way. It's these principles are governed by laws, and whether I agree with them or not, it's the way it works.
Right.
And so the difference is use and application of principle. There's another principle that the law of polarity. And the law of polarity essentially says that in order for anything to exist, the opposite must also exist. So for example, you can't have an up without a down. You can't have an in without an out. There's no light without dark.
Right.
There's no success without failure. For anything to exist, the opposite must also exist. So oftentimes what happens is there's an imbalance in our perspective on what we're dealing with and what we're going through. And we have this imbalance in perspective that can lead to resentment. And as long as we have an imbalance in our perspective, then we don't get to level up, because you can never level up from a place that you haven't first honored. So if you're going through difficult times, if it's challenging in the moment, you don't actually get to leave the place that you're in until you first honor where you are. Once you honor it, you get to leave. If you don't honor it, it remains. So if you find yourself in difficulty and challenge currently, the fastest way to move through it is to honor the lessons learned for where you are. Because the law states that even though you may be looking at it as difficult and challenging and resentful or tough and hard and all of those things, there must be good in it. There has to be good in what you're currently experiencing. That's the law. The law of polarity says that in order for anything to exist, the opposite must also exist. So if I'm going through a difficult time, if it's challenging currently, the law says, not Courtland, the law says that there must be a counterbalance that is good and powerful and fruitful and positive. And so until you can honor both sides, you don't get to level up. So again, what can a leader be focusing on is, how does this situation that I currently find myself in, how is it of benefit, service, and good for me, so that you can elevate.
Right. Courtland, I probably, replaying this back, I probably have about 30 different quotes I can use on my website.
Use all of them.
Media. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And I love the way, even from the last question I asked, how you put it all together with this new question. So thank you very much for sharing that. And you mentioned the word leaders. I wanted to touch base on that too. We have a lot of leaders that are listening to this, if it's influential leaders, if it's leaders in real estate that are leading teams. And a lot of them have, like myself, have fear, urgency, and anxiety, and sometimes an ego, right? So with this big emotional and intelligence spotlight, or blind spot that we have, how do you feel, with the nervousness, and how do you feel leaders can regulate themselves first before attempting to regulate others? So to lead. So if I have so much going on in my mind, and I do, and I have a team, but how can I control that in order to help my team grow?
Gotcha. Okay. Damien, do I have permission to be honest?
Absolutely.
Because I might say something right now that is going to send shockwaves through people.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. So you can edit it out. I think it's live though, but you can edit it out and all those things. Okay. And you can breathe. I'm not right now going to have you lose all of your followers. Okay.
No, we're good. We're good.
But here's what I believe about leaders, particularly in leaders, yes, but particularly leaders within that would be drawn to Black EXP.
Okay.
We've been humble long enough. So oftentimes there is, and I'll speak for myself, what has gotten in my way is an attitude or an approach of, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. I'm just so happy and fortunate and grateful to be here. Almost in a way of like, man, thank you for giving me a chance. When in reality, where you are has been earned. Where you are has required a lot of sweat equity. For you to be sitting where you are right now as a realtor, first, Black realtor in the state of Montana, like that is not small. And it is not something that ought be met with this like docile, like meek, like, oh, I'm just so grateful to be here, because it wasn't given. It was earned.
Fair enough.
And so when I say humble long enough, it's like our nervous system is still operating from generations of timidness, generations of, well, walking on eggshells, don't be too much. The way that we've seen historically of what happens when you start to, think you're all that, okay? And as a result of that timidity, that hesitation, that self-doubt, and that second guessing has become entrenched in our nervous system, and we're moving with fear, even though we have a lot to give. The fact that I just about 2 weeks ago, about a week ago now, my dad sends me a text message, and if it's okay, I didn't plan this, but if it's okay,
please.
I'll read it, okay? Because I just finished a web class, okay, and just out of nowhere, this comes in, and give me just okay, and at 4:40 p.m. Last Saturday, says Courtland Warren, that's me, is the son of Alan Justice Warren and Betty Ann Norwood. Alan is the son of Francis Ciola Warren and Betty Jean Johnston. Francis, my grandfather, is the son of Anthony James Warren and Ona Bell Ellenberg. Anthony is the son of Amos Warren and Angeline Graham. The record indicates that Amos Warren was from Guinea, West Africa, and arrived via slave ship in North Carolina in 1810. My dad has been working for almost two decades to trace it back as far as we could get. The reality is that's probably as far as obviously his name wasn't Amos, okay? But the records show that he arrived on via slave ship, North Carolina, 1810. Reason why I read that and the reason why it struck me being able to close that loop is because, other people can have whatever opinions they want. I am absolutely convinced that I am from the strongest of stock. I am absolutely convinced that my being here represents when it comes to resilience and strength and mental capacity, right? When I consider what was endured in order for me to have this opportunity on this podcast with this group of people sharing with you, I have the strongest of conviction that I represent the best of the best, the strongest of the strongest, the most resilient of the resilient, and it's unapologetic. That is my position. So for leaders, I would ask your leaders to embrace that. Yes, people will have whatever opinions they want. You know the truth. It was not given. It was earned.
Yes.
And so therefore, be unapologetic in your approach to whatever you're creating next, because that also will not be given. No one is coming to save you. It will not be given. It will be earned. And just as you have earned the place where you are currently, you'll earn the level that you are aspiring to. And when it's earned, you get to own it because it's not given. So as a leader, knowing that, right, and recognizing that your existence here at this time in history, it represents that you're from the toughest, the strongest, the most capable, and I say move unapologetically with that, because humility is not diminishing your light. Humility is not like, we have this idea that, oh, okay, well, and this was part of my upbringing, right? Pride comes before the fall. And, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited because, something will come through to humble you. Almost like there's this esoteric being in the sky that is appalled that you would actually get excited about an accomplishment or achievement. And so therefore, I'm going to come through and humble you because you got excited about achieving a goal or a dream. I view that as utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Celebration and acknowledgement is a very important part of the achievement cycle. And that's because whatever you give emotion to, you attract more of. So if you're a person who, when things go great, you're just like, oh, that was nothing, man. That was no big deal, man. That's what I was supposed to do, man. That's nothing. But then when things don't go the way you want it to go, you get really like emotionalized and you start to beat yourself up. You become very self-critical and like, oh man, that was stupid. And what was I thinking? And oh my goodness, what, right? You get really emotional when it doesn't go the way you want it to go, but you're numb when it goes the way you want it to go. Understand that whatever you give emotion to, you'll attract more of, okay? You'll attract more of it. So I say get in the habit of celebrating your accomplishments and achievements. That is actually a path to more, it's a path to more vulnerability, okay? Right. And so as leaders, know that where you are has been earned. Acknowledge your achievements because you get more of whatever you emotionalize. And then 3, back to understanding and knowing the principles that govern manifestation and transformation, because ignorance is no excuse. We are subject to them whether we are aware of them or not.
Right. Gosh. Strong. Thank you very much. And I got more questions on that, but I know we have to move forward. I mean, for me, my strength comes from my mother. That the individual that she slept on trends with me and my twin sister. Right. And to be where I'm at right now because of her not having a father around, this is where I take all my growth, expansion, and everything else from. So I get it. So thank you very much for sharing that. Let us talk a little bit about those that are those high leaders that that are fair. I won't say faring, but they are on a plateau. All right.
Okay.
Not because of the skill, but because of fear. So what would commonly limit their expansion, and how do you think they can break through? I mean, we have, once again, inspiring leaders listening to this, as well as leaders. And we always say to get to that next level. I personally don't like using that term. I think it's a lot more than that because it comes from within. But what do you feel someone would need to know to get past out, to get to where they really want to achieve things in life?
Oh, that's a great question. And you use the key word there. What do they need to know? Now, one, I would say that they need to limit their options. Limit the options. Now, I know that's counterintuitive, right? But understand this. The more options you have, the less action you take.
Sounds like me.
Think about it. I mean, so you talked about your mom, like, and sleeping on trains. And so it's like, when we're at a place where the only option I have is this, then that's where we actually get to access our creativity. When I'm dabbling in real estate and I'm kind of into this and I'm kind of into that and I'm kind of into this, like the more options you have, just prove me wrong. The more options you have, the less action you take. So performance equals capacity times usage. So you want to, get more, you want to perform at a higher level, you want to be a peak performer, then that is a function of capacity times usage. What is capacity? Capacity is essentially what you're capable of. It's the knowledge that you have. It's all the ideas that you have in your mind. It's the books that you read, the courses that you've attended, the podcasts that you listen to, just the opinions that you've gathered over time, right? And so all of that becomes stored in your mind and in your physiology, okay? Times usage. So usage is your ability to access what you know, capacity. It's your ability to access what you know under pressure. So oftentimes what happens is when people are wanting to go to the next level, what they tend to do is increase their capacity. So they want to study more, read more, get more how-tos, so forth and so on. But knowledge is not what has them stuck. It's usage and being able to access what you already know under pressure. Now, so what is pressure? If I said to you, hey, Damien, I want you to speak at this event in September. We're going to have, 1,000 people in attendance, and I want you to be one of the featured speakers. And here we are on February, 25th, 26th. Then, and you agree to it. Now that you know that event is in September, you'll start preparing for it here and there. And as it gets closer, knowing that it's coming, you'll prepare for it because, hey, man, your name is on the line and you don't want to appear unprepared. But oftentimes people will consider that as pressure. Well, there are 1,000 people there in the audience. Man, the pressure's on. I say no. Pressure is when it's you versus you. Pressure is when there's no one around. What do you do then? Can you give yourself a directive and then follow your own directive? Can you get yourself to do the thing that you've committed to when no one's watching, when no one's looking, when this podcast goes off and it's time for you to now go implement, it's time for you to go act? What happens then? Because the pressure is within your nervous system and your ability to override what is currently comfortable and familiar for the sake of having what it is that you want. So your performance will increase as your capacity times your ability to access it under pressure increases. That, in my view, is where the secret is.
Oh, I love it. Ooh, we're running out of time here.
I know. Maybe you'll let me come back, and I promise I'll know which button to push.
No, that's okay.
And so we'll get started on time.
So I got 2 more questions to see.
Okay.
We got about 2 more minutes. All right. So I know we're honoring Black History Month with this. And this is not just for Black History Month. It's for every day, right? Mm-hmm. It's for the everyday person. I don't care if you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, gay, but whatever, right? So, but, I'm not saying but, what does leadership with a person with adversity, a professional in industries like this, right? How is the reputation? The representation is limited, okay, in some aspects. So with that resilience, what advice would you give any emerging leader entering a very competitive industry like real estate?
What advice would I give an emerging leader?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. right?
And it doesn't have to be real estate. Once again, everybody's watching.
I got you. Okay.
Right?
So as an emerging leader, understand that everyone, my personal view is that everyone has something remarkable to offer the world. And leadership is the key to unlocking it. What is leadership has a lot of different definitions. It's a lot of different definitions. One definition of leadership that I use is the willingness to answer the call. What do I mean by call? You're not here, and I get it can be kind of a romantic idea, but my view is that you're here for a purpose, that it's not just existence, that there's something that you can offer the world that only you can offer. Leadership is the willingness to answer the call to what your purpose is.
Love it.
And answering the call is not about convenience. It's not about mood. It's not about comfort or whether or not you feel like it. Answering the call is recognition that the ultimate intelligence, I say God, speaks through you. And your purpose here is to fulfill an assignment. And fulfilling that assignment goes beyond what is convenient or comfortable. The choice to be one who lives their life versus lead their life, okay? Living your life, I take life as it comes. But if I lead my life, I create a life by design. That is adjacent to answering the call that goes beyond convenience, mood. I would say, don't consult your feelings when it's time for you to take action. If I only did things on the days I feel like doing it, a lot of things wouldn't get done. So I don't consult my feelings. I consult my future self and who is the person that I'm becoming and what would that person have me do in this moment.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you. One last rapid fire question. Then I want you just to let people know how they can find out more about you. Right. So, Courtland, when you leave this conversation right now, what do you hope that people would see differently about themselves?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I want to say again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And I don't take lightly, introducing me to your audience. I talk a lot. My answers get real long, but ultimately my desire for you as one who's listening is that you remember the truth of who you are. That personal development is less about learning something new and more about remembering who you are in the first place. Because your authentic self, the core of who you are, comes into the world with everything that you need to be, do, and have a meaningful and powerful life. And life experiences sometimes cloud that. And we forget the truth of who we are. My hope is that in this conversation, you've been reminded of the truth, that you are capable of more, and your being here is purposeful. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not the most known or recognized figure on social media, but that's where you can find me. Courtland Warren on Instagram, Courtland Warren on Facebook. CourtlandWarren.com is my website, and my newest project is AI plus you, because after 25 years in the world of personal development, I know that there are ways that we can leverage AI to have you more quickly discover your purpose and your truth so that you can be out contributing to the world also. And so that's it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Courtland, you just set me up for having you on here again. AI.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, Courtland, thank you. I got goose. I'm not sure if you can see it. I got goosebumps. Thank you so much.
I think you were just using that as an opportunity to show off your guns. I mean, I'm working on mine too. No, thank you, man. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
And all I'm trying to do is get invited to the boat party or whatever it is that Black EXP has. I've been to EXP Con 2 years now, and every time I hear about the party after the party, and so it's reinforcing some of my beliefs about, you know, being the nerd, being the outcast, being the outsider. Can I just
Okay.
you know, can I just get invited? Can I
You're
just
on
get
top of the
invited
list
to the
right now, my
cookout?
friend. Trust me. You're on top of the list right now. Well, Courtland, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And thanks to all of you that have listened and will continue to listen and keep playing this and share it. Share the love. All right. Happy Black History Month. Happy birthday to all of you guys. And take care. Thank you very much once again. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Mario, not sure if you're still back there, but thank you very much for putting this together.